And we're back. We are joined right now by one of New York's biggest power players in the food industry, Miss Nicole Ponseca. Thank you for joining our little segment right now. And of course, you know, Miss Lea Salonga. I wanted to ask you guys, having you both here right now, you guys have been two big proponents of Filipino culture, especially on a global scale. Nicole with restaurants Jeepney and Maharlika. What's your current take on the globalization of Filipino culture and this new Renaissance period that it seems like we're in?
I think it was only a matter of time if it was going to be me doing the food or someone was going to do it. I just happened to have been at the right place and time. The globalization of Filipino culture and the arts, I think, was timing as well. Most of our first generation parents were so focused on setting us up for success, paying for my college, my friends' college, making sure that they have a home that they can assimilate, that their English is great, that they have many different kinds of friends. So, but I do think that they were not entrepreneurs and in the scale that other cultures are, because it's so risky. And the risk to even come to a new country is so great that choosing jobs that are safe, nursing, doctors, lawyers, some of it is status. I'm a doctor, my daughter's a doctor, which is great, but also so that they have the security. So this renaissance is a matter of people becoming interested in being entrepreneurs and having that safety net that their parents set up for them.
And for Lea, what do you think are like the biggest draws right now as far as other Filipino acts that you think are doing an admirable job for promoting Filipino culture?
As far as the acts are concerned, as far as performers?
Yeah.
I mean, there are people like Apple Diab from the Black Eyed Peas, and then you have people like Charisse. And I mean, when you look at the cool thing about singers from the Philippines, it's almost as natural as breathing, and I think it's something that has been commented on by singers from here. I mean, Patty Austin guested on The Voice of the Philippines, and she said something about a lot of the greatest singers that she has heard and that she has encountered have come from the Philippines. And it was, I don't know if it was, and I'm sure that that girl don't bullshit. There's no BS that comes out of her mouth. And it was incredibly encouraging to hear words like that from her, because she is an artist that I truly respect, who has a great ear as both a performer and as a producer. So for her to say that about the singers that come from home, it's validation for a lot of people that entered into the field. It's just an amazing thing to hear. And having been a coach on that show, you kind of are placed in a position to find more people who could very well be representatives of performers in the Philippines, who can represent them abroad. And we found amazingly talented people that just blew our minds on a weekly basis for as long as they were competing in the show. It's just unbelievable what you can still find.
By the way, we should mention that you won the inaugural season for
I won
The Voice
season
Philippines. So
Yeah,
great job. Congratulations. Are you
I
coming
have
back?
bragging rights for a year.
Okay.
It's kind of like being a beauty queen. You hold the title for a year, and then you have to try and win it again. I want to be Blake Shelton.
Okay.
I don't want to be Adam Levine. I want to be Blake Shelton, because I mean, I won the first season. Adam won the first season, but hey, somebody else could very well be like Bam Bam Bam. So, but I want to be.
Now let's get
I want to keep that title.
Let's get you that three-peat. So for both of you guys, and either one can answer this question, I remember when one of the things that Nicole would tell me before was a big part of promoting this culture, you know, specifically in New York, which it works because we're such a melted pot. But
Oh yeah, the city.
what is it in terms of presentation that you think you have to apply for both of your crafts, whether it's for food or whether it's for performances, and where do we kind of draw the line? Because we are a former colony of the U.S. and we are very Americanized in some ways. You know, we're the number one English-speaking Asian country. Where do you guys sort of draw the line from wanting to promote that culture and at the same time being mindful of, you know, your history and, you know, where we come from in some sense?
Oh my God, it's like an essay question. It's like it's like presenting our culture in a way, I guess, that's palatable to everybody. Somebody said something to the effect of, the more specific you are, the more relatable it is for some strange reason. And I guess, for example, with the restaurants here, I mean, it's, as a Filipino and being able to taste food from home that actually tastes like food from home, it's comforting. I mean, as a Filipino coming to a place like Maharlika or from Jeepney, it's like, oh, it's comfort food and it's tastes of home. But I think the one observation that I had made is that until now, Filipino cuisine in the city had not been successful in the way that it is now. And I was always wondering, the food is good, so why isn't it selling in the way that Thai food is, or in the way that Chinese food or Japanese food is? Is it presentation? Is it adjusting it to fit the palate of the general public? So or is it to push it so far back into the culture that people are curious and want to give it a try? It's like I don't have all the answers to that. I mean, the art form that I normally engage in, I mean, I sing, and music is music. It's notes on a page, and you don't have to be of a certain culture to appreciate it, I think. And I've found that even, you know, that when I sing a Filipino song in a set at Cafe Carlisle or in concert anywhere in the city, that there is an appreciation, regardless of not knowing what the translated version is saying. Like, I give a general idea, the song is about this, and then I sing it. And what I try to do as a singer is infuse the performance as much as possible with the meaning of that song, that I'm not just presenting it as, here's a pretty melody, digest that. It's not just that. There has to be a wallop of emotion in the song, so that even if they don't understand the words, they get what the song is about on another level. So that is how I present Filipino music. When I sing American music, it's like, here's your entry. I do musical theater, and now that I have you, I will present you with what comes from home, and so you'll understand me a little better. So that's it.
Listening to Lea talk now and prior, actually, I was sitting over here just admiring Ms. Lea. But you had asked her, does she feel the weight of responsibility about being Filipino and carrying a torch of the nation? And I think I'm very similar to her in that if we were to define ourselves, she might say mother, wife, performer, Pinay. So it's embedded in her already, but I don't think she thinks about being Filipino per se in her craft. She's just freaking good and a professional, and she's owned her craft. And even now, the way she talks about how can I interpret this song in my own voice so that I can entertain, right? It's her profession. So I am the same way. I define myself as a business person, a shota, just kidding, a business person.
I love that word.
Me too.
So much.
It's so good.
Love that word so much.
I define myself in all these things, and I happen to also be Pinay, a Pinay American. So it's already embedded here. My craft happens to be in food, and the platform is Filipino, so of course it dictates my decision making. But if I take away all those layers, I am a business person, and this is my theater. And from the moment you're greeted, I have to think about the craft of how the phone is answered, how Kamayan is set. I'm not in any way a performer like her, but I think of it as theater. So the responsibility I have is already embedded about being a Filipino restaurant. But that aside, I think about the craft of being a restaurant person, like her.
That's awesome. I just wanted to get your final thoughts on what do you think is the next step for not just for Filipino Americans, being having backgrounds of being well traveled and being well versed in the global mindset of what America is or what Europe is. What do you think? What do you guys think our motherland can do as the next step in entering that that phase of globalization and commerce and that kind of thing?
I think the statistics are already there, whether you open Forbes magazine or entrepreneurial magazines. They're already calling us leapfrogging by leaps and bounds over other Asian cultures, our Asian sisters. And just as, let's face it, a third world country, we're making such strides. The education, the fact that there are Pinoys that are staying in the Philippines and not what has happened in the past, right?
Yeah,
where the
where you have to
commodity
leave.
leaves. Yes. They're interested in staying within their bringing up the economy, the import-export, the facade, and the background of the Philippines. So that's my two cents.
The thing about, there's an OFW phenomenon, and I think it was only supposed to be a temporary measure. I don't think it was meant to turn into what it has turned into now, which seems to be practically permanent. I mean, I would love to see a Philippines where people don't ever feel the need to look to another country for greener pastures, having the need to leave. It's okay to leave to get a higher education, to find something where, they're not offering this right now in the Philippines. I need to look elsewhere, look to Europe or look to the United States, and then to apply it back home. The land of milk and honey should still be your own country at the end of the day. I understand the migration. I understand why anybody would migrate to another country. It's to find better opportunities, to find a better life. It's to find what you were unable to find at home. And, I found myself now living at home again, and I brought with me my American husband, and we have a Filipino-American daughter, and who was being raised as a Filipino in the Philippines. And I don't know, now I'm finding myself coming back there and again traveling and then always returning. So ideally it's to instill a sense of wanting to stay in every citizen of the country, but the economics of the country need to be able to support that, and we're not there yet.
Awesome. And on that note, guys, I want to thank you for joining us today. See you guys next time.